Hey everybody, welcome back. In today's video, I want to have a look at Ultra, but before I do, I first want to thank today's sponsor, FairDesk. FairDesk is an exchange where you can go to trade your crypto at super low fees. FairDesk also allows for copy trading, so by clicking the link in the description, you can sign up and follow my trades live. But hurry, because there's only 50 people that can follow my trades live. And with no KYC required, there really is no reason not to head over there now and sign up using the link in the description. It's super easy. You literally just make an account and boom, deposit some crypto, you're trading. So thanks again to FairDesk, and back to the video. Now, Ultra is a decentralized gaming platform token. And while that's a bit of a mouthful, what they're basically trying to market themselves as is the Steam of crypto. And if you don't know what Steam is, it's basically just someone that sells video games online, and only digital usually. And Ultra has stayed in this vein. They've gone only digital, but whereas a lot of these big conglomerate companies sell you digital keys and then still have complete control over these digital keys, you know, if they want, they can stop you from playing that game, they can revoke your key. Now, it's very rare, but they can do so. And they also don't allow you to sell that key on. Once you buy that key, that's it. You keep that key, but you can't sell it on if you don't like it, or this, that, and the other. Ultra wants to put a little spin on it where they allow you to basically, your game is tokenized, and if you have that token in your wallet, you have access to this game. And of course, you can sell that game on at a profit or a loss, whatever. And it's the same with in-game cosmetics. You can sell those tokens on their chain if you don't want to play anymore. So it's kind of going back to the old days where you'd buy discs for games. You know, you'd buy a disc and you could sell it on if you didn't like, but keeping it digital, which of course is kind of the way things are and have to go. But the reason I pick Ultra and not Immutable X or another big, gaming crypto token is because I think it's in a sweet spot where it's not too big, but it's not too small. It's kind of a bit of a Goldilocks for me, where looking at the developer count, they've got 50 plus developers, or collaborators as they call them. So they've probably got developers a little less than that, because they're using a fancy word to actually say outright how many developers they have. But they've got 50 collaborators working on their project, and they've got a few games that are up and running that have decent player numbers. And of course they have cosmetics, that is another sort of inflow of money for them on these games that you can buy and sell, like Steam Community Market, if you've ever used that. It's basically the same thing, but on a blockchain. And it appeals to me because, again, it's kind of like a gem. They've got enough developers there to be working on things and to get things done. They can practically get things done. 50 developers can get a good game out in a year or two. And they can maintain those games, update them, this, that, and the other, keep making content for those games. Whereas other much smaller studios with 10 developers, 5 developers, they can do a great job and they can make a game, but they're, just because of manpower, they're limited to what they can achieve. And, you're kind of relying on them putting out one really good game instead of just being generally a good place to go and have multiple games that you might enjoy, the more games you have, realistically, the more people you can attract, and the more people you can attract, the more trading volume you have for your token and your assets on the blockchain. So that's why for me, it's one that I'm going to be looking out for this next bull run. Now, zooming out, we can see I've drawn some very, unofficial looking trend lines. And this is what I usually do when I do a TA of a coin. I was only made aware of Ultra in the last few days by a friend, so I haven't had the longest amount of time to sort of cover it, but this is sort of what I do when I'm first scouting out and looking at a coin. I just like to draw a few basic trend lines to see where it's been, how it's done, and where it's currently at, short term, medium term, and long term. And all of those at the moment are a downward trend for Ultra. In the short term, we're in a downward trend. In the medium term, since over a year ago, we've been in a downward trend, and ever since 2021, we've been in a downward trend. However, we are up from our initial launch price of about 4 cents. But what's good about Ultra as well, another reason I kind of chose to do a video on it, is the coin's been around for over 4 years, which means we have roughly a 4-year cycle length that we can draw from and get a bit of info from. So we can see if we go back to roughly where we are now in the cycle, if we go to late September, beginning of October, we can see that it took Ultra about a year, just under a year, to start really rallying. And we come up to this point, and once we're here, we're just before this initial explosion. But once we get to here, it takes another half year for the coin to explode. 2021 when we get into the bull run. And that's about right for what we're currently at the moment. Another year will bring us into late 2024, and we should see generally prices going up. We've had the Bitcoin halving, the miners have acclimatized to the new rewards rate, and the ones that can't survive aren't there anymore, and the ones that can survive are there. So that's sort of calmed waters, and it basically means we can go into the next bull run. So this is about what to expect. So we can see a 3x maybe from now until next year. Of course, this is only a historical indicator. It's not what will happen. Of course, Ultra might do nothing for the next 5 years. Who knows? But I think it will do well. They've got games there. They've got games that people are playing. And I like the idea of being able to sell on your game after, sell on your cosmetics. I think it's a good sort of healthy thing for a consumer to be able to do, and it's healthy that the game developers allow it. So yeah, very cool. Another thing that I want to show you guys is some analytics on CoinMarketCap. Now this one in particular, Whale Holdings, is one that always it's a double-edged sword in my opinion, because we can see here that obviously 75% of the coin is held by whales, which is a lot, no matter what way you look at it. But to be honest with you, it's not too bad for a super low cap alts. A lot of them can go much higher. But 75%, the reason I say it's a double-edged sword is because when times start going good and prices start rising again, if these whales are smart, they'll let the price rise. They won't just dump instantly on every green day. They'll sit back and let the price rise. And what this basically does is it means that, say we have 1 billion roughly tokens. We can see here in supply, 1.2 billion it says at the top here, and we're currently at roughly a billion. So we have 1 billion in supply. If 75% of that is owned by whales, and they're not doing anything with their crypto, you basically have a supply of, 250 million basically, which is much easier to rally up in price, and to rally up in price a lot than, 1 billion. That's quite a hefty, that's a lot of liquidity you got to push through, but if these whales are smart, they'll step out and they'll let the price rally. So in poor times, when you're buying now, it's kind of on your side. But in the good times, when obviously we're 2025, whether it's April, May, whenever, just before summer, when we expect our initial sort of peak, our top, these whales will start to dump. And once they start dumping, it's kind of impossible for this price to raise back above their dump price. They'll set a price where they say, okay, we're going to sell this much until it goes down. Say the price reaches $2, whales will go, okay, we're going to start selling at $2, and we're going to stop selling once it goes back to $1.90. And then when the price goes back up to $2, we'll sell again. So it becomes this basically immovable wall that you cannot break above again. So it's an interesting one that I like to look at. Another one that sort of sticks out to me is addresses held by time, and this is basically just an indicator for me, or what this does show for me at the moment is poor price action. Basically, it's a product of poor price action of the coin. So we can see a year ago, 33% of wallets were hodling Ultra. They had it in their wallet and they weren't doing anything. They were keeping it there, saving it for better times. And you can see as time's gone on, we can see that hodlers have gone up to 50%. So we've gone up basically 17% in a year from people trading, you know, people cruisers who are sort of, like it says, cruising along, spending a bit of time with the coin and then selling maybe at a loss. We see most people are now hodling, but 50% of people are hodling, and this is most likely because they've been buying or they've been DCAing into the coin, and the price action has just been poor, and they don't want to sell at a loss, so they're just hodling their coins hoping for a good time. And this is a sort of bearish indicator as well, because now you have a lot of these people that are in the red, and they've been in the red for a long time, and when prices start getting good again, these people just want to get out. They're not hopeful of the coin. A lot of them, you know, they don't want to see it reach £2. They just want to see it reach their break-even price so that they can sell onto the market, not at a loss. And this sort of creates psychological barriers for the coin. So, you know, as they've been DCAing weekly, these resistance lines get made in the coin, and these resistance line obviously provide resistance, but they're sort of pseudo-real. They're not really real resistance lines. They're just because this is where a lot of people would have DCA'd in, so it traded sideways for a little while, or it had a rally here, so the price that it rallied up from is now a support level. And in a bear market, when you come below that, it then becomes a resistance level. So Ultra now will have a load of these resistance levels that are, you know, sort of psychologically difficult to break above, because it's where a lot of these people have been buying up huge amounts just because it's DCA or whatever. The last sort of chart here that basically says, you know, how many wallets hold how much of Ultra. We can see most of them, 70%, just under, hold less than $1,000 US, and this is about right. You know, this is how you want it to be. You want a lot of people to basically hold a decent but not too much amount of Ultra, and then we have this green indicator that's at 30%, whereas 1k to 100k. Now, me personally, if I could change this, I would have 1k to 20k, and then 20k to 100k, because I think a lot of people like to put in, you know, they like to go all in on one crypto instead of, you know, spreading out among cryptos. So they'll put in $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 into their one favorite crypto. And I think that kind of inflates this stat quite a bit, because I can't imagine there's too many coins that are above sort of, you know, the 80k range here. I mean, I can't imagine there are a lot of 80k coins, but, you know, a 2k coin is inflating this number. Sorry, a 2k holder is inflating this number more than it should be. So just a couple of interesting charts to look at there. Now, looking at BTC and Ultra, we can see, I don't want to spend too much time here, it's basically a similar story. Ever since 2021, late 2021, November, Ultra put in its high on BTC, and ever since it's been going down. We can see since last year, about a year from now, Ultra's been following this trend of downward, basically. It's wicked above a few times, but again, they're sort of day trades that are probably price manipulation, to be honest with you. I wouldn't put too much weight in these, and we see we have a couple of them. This is normal for lower cap altcoins. They do unfortunately get sort of pump and dumps, these sort of moves, whatever, Telegram groups that say, okay, go buy this coin, this, that, and the other. So we've seen a few of these price spikes on its Bitcoin pair, because of course it's pumped on its USD pair. Currently, we're kind of sat at this 500 Satoshi level, just under 600 Satoshi, sorry. But we can see that this sort of deep value level is at this 200, sort of 270 Satoshi level. And this comes from basically where we've bounced off you know, before our last bull run. This is where we started, and this was roughly where we were, and this was roughly where we were a year ago. So you could say now that, oh, well, we were in a deep value zone for the last few weeks. You know, these few weeks here were deep value, and now we're gonna rally up. And you could be right, because we've sort of bounced off this support here for a little while. But I do still think that altcoins have a little bit of pain to go with their Bitcoin pair. Now, they might rally on their USD, and they might start going up significantly on their USD pair. But if we turn on our bull market support band, we are still technically currently below, well below, and it's still basically a general downward trend. So, you know, I wouldn't be putting too much stock in the immediate future of Ultra on its Bitcoin pair. So that kind of is all I want to say. I'll show you the bull market support band here as well. We can see it's kind of rallied up to it again, but has come back down. Now, for me, I'm on two minds. Part of me is like, well, 4 years ago from now, this is where we were at our lowest, and we sort of rallied on from this point. But another part of me says, well, this is a altcoin that has done one cycle, and the general macro trend tells us that we're probably due a bit more pain for altcoins, possibly. There are some that have been doing well the last few months, so maybe Ultra is one of them that joins in and doesn't do poorly from now on. Maybe it does well, and over the year it does a 3x like it showed us back here. But I ultimately kind of remain bearish on these altcoins, and for me it's not worth the risk to buy into these altcoins yet. Once I maybe see, you know, a month of green, maybe I might sort of start DCAing in, or I might turn a bit of my Bitcoin into some of these alts. But for me, I'm just happy to sit on the sidelines for the moment. That about wraps it up for this video, guys. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you're holding Ultra. What do you think of the coin? And thanks again, Steve, for recommending the coin. So take care, guys. See you later, and peace.